Hello and welcome to this edition of the Angels and Destiny show. Why is this show called this, you may ask? So I'll tell you. The accepted meaning of angel is messenger and the accepted meaning of destiny is to make, firm, establish. So my guests and I bring you messages to establish what you need to know in the present. And of course, I like working with angels and the calmness they bring. Now, in a moment, I want to introduce you to my wonderful guest, Rachel Haymer, who is currently on the boat. So we'll be getting off in time for the conversation. But before that, I'd like to say thank you so much for watching the show live at a later date, as it means a lot to us to connect with like-minded people. Now, if you've never met me before, then my name is Ray, and I'm the founder of Radiant Angel Energy. And I'm a spiritual guide and healer passionate about helping you reconnect with your divine presence and step into your purpose. Now, through angelic Reiki, angel oracle cards, guided meditations, and exploring past and future lives, I support you in healing your past and creating a soul-aligned future. Now, my journey has taught me that with the right tools and guidance, we can all connect with our higher selves, embrace transformation, and live a life full of abundance and fulfillment. Now, each episode of this show covers various themes of your journey, a mini guided meditation or angel oracle card reading with the wisdom of my wonderful guests, like today's guest, Rachel Haymer, about ghostly encounters in the afterlife. Now, Rachel is a healer, Reiki Master Teacher, and Breathwork Facilitator. Born in Hawaii and descended from a lineage of powerful women healers, Rachel has been practicing energy healing since 2002. A Reiki Master Teacher since 2008, she has worked with thousands of clients blending Reiki, breakthrough breathwork meditation, and other transformative healing modalities. Now based in New York City, but currently in Miami, Rachel not only facilitates deep healing, but also teaches others to develop their intuition and unlock their own healing abilities. She is also an artist, musician, and feminist rapper who has experience with ghosts and the afterlife. So without further delay, hello, Rachel, and welcome to the Angels and Destiny show. How are you today?
Hello, and thank you so much for having me. I'm amazing. As you can see, I'm been out on the water and we're a little late coming back, so it's perfect. You know, everything in divine timing, which I practice in my life daily. So I'm so thrilled to be here, and thank you for hosting this show and for having me.
You're welcome. So before we get into this fascinating conversation, I want to remind you that not only can you share this video, but you can also ask questions, leave comments and thoughts, as both Rachel and I want to be part of this conversation. So please don't be shy. So Rachel, why don't you tell us more about your journey and your experiences with the afterlife, ghostly encounters, and the power of energy healing and intuition?
Oh, wow. So that's amazing. And I'm blessed that I come from a long line of women who have been brave enough to trust their own intuition. And so as I've been a healer myself and come into my own, that only happened after having certain experiences myself. The very first experience actually with things of this nature was when I was 16 and I was driving myself to school. And I remembered that I had had a dream, not the night before, but 2 nights before. And long story short, in the moment, the dream saved my life and the lives of my siblings, because I was able to pull the wheel in one direction while the car was blowing out on the tire on the other direction. And it saved my life and the lives of my siblings. And that was the first inkling that I had that something might be available to me beyond the regular senses. And I actually think that all of us, all humans, can develop our own empathic intuition and can develop our own senses. Um, and that if we're able to be emotionally in tune with ourselves, that allows us to be emotionally in tune enough to the paranormal. The paranormal. What a terrible word, right? I mean, it should be normal. It should
Yeah,
be
it
normal
should be
for us
really.
to, yeah, it absolutely should. And so the more that the person is one with themselves and, you know, not in a fight with themselves, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, physically, the more that they're aligned with themselves, the the more they're able to sense those things that are outside of our physical bodies. Yeah, of course, all of this is my own personal opinion. Okay, I'm about to jump off this boat.
That's okay. Whilst you're doing that, Andy is here already, and he said, "Good evening, ladies. Good evening, Andy, or good afternoon to Rachel, where Rachel is." So it's good to see you here, Andy. And of course, anyone else I can see who's watching, if you'd like to say hello and let us know you're here, that'll be absolutely wonderful. And of course, if you have any questions that you want to ask during the show, then please feel free to do that. Um, and as people that know me know, I've spent most of my childhood going in and out of spiritualist churches. So the paranormal and the afterlife and ghosts and spirits, etc., are something that I've always been about and I've always known about. So are you ready to carry on with your story now?
I am. I'm ready. Thank you for your patience. I appreciate you.
That's
I
fun.
found out that all over the world, different cultures, right? They all have their own traditions and ways. And in Miami, things run a little bit further behind. Things run on. Nope, that's mine. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on one
No,
sec.
that's okay. Well, Amanda B is here, and she says, "Greetings, ladies. Hi, Amanda." And Dandy says, "I once had a friend who said the supernatural. There's nothing super about it. It's just natural."
That's absolutely right. It is just natural. I love that. Thank you for sharing. So, as you can see, I like to travel all over the world, and lucky for me, I get a chance to do that. And I happen to be traveling in Europe. And I want to say that, well, I have a lot of, let me give you the story first and then I'll qualify myself. So I was in Europe. I was going on a trip and I had been, unfortunately, not taken a good route, and I had been on the train for about 18 hours straight. And so I was very tired. I was overworked in my mind, and just, I'm sure if you've ever been on a long train journey with several changes and you're traveling with baggage and everything, you can know how exhausted a person can get. So I was there, and finally, at the end of the day, I had gotten to Germany. I was visiting a friend of mine in Regensburg in Germany. And so I got off the train and we met up. Like I said, I was very, very tired. And I got into her house and we quickly went to bed because we both had to be up very early the next day. And I, um, while I was getting ready, I had to go through this one part of her house. And I started, every time I would pass this one area of the house, it would get scarier and scarier. It was like I could feel the vibrations going more and more, just really affecting me, to feel a state of fear and to feel every hair on the back of my neck stand up, and just so much negative energy. And on the last pass, as you may guess from having read my biography, I use my intuition a lot, and I can see and perceive things in my mind's eye that are messages, or um, that are messages and or uh, things of the supernatural nature, natural nature. And on the last time going back from the bathroom to where I was sleeping, I saw in my mind's eye a figure who had unalived themselves, as they say, hanging from the ceiling. And it was a very, very powerful image that came into my mind. And I happen to be Jewish, but that did not stop me from calling on every single deity that I know to protect me after that, because I was so scared. I was filled with fear. I just didn't know. Of course, the question is, if that is an entity, what could they possibly have done? We don't know, but I was sure shook, as they say. And it just took, even though I was extremely tired, it took a really, really long time to fall asleep. So the next day, and here's where it gets wild. The next day, I just straight up asked my friend, "Hey, what is the deal with your space, with that one spot in your house?" And she says, "I can't believe you're telling me this. I have very vivid dreams at least 3 times a week since I've moved into this home. I've had very vivid dreams 3 times a week at minimum, where I am having a battle against a monster or spirit or other terrible thing in that spot in the house. I'm fighting it. I'm battling it." And I was like, just mind blown, absolutely, completely mind blown and kerfuffled when she said that. So sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I was absolutely 100% mind blown. I didn't know what to do, because and then she says to me, after telling me that she has these experiences, "Oh, by the way, this place used to be an old folks home and mental asylum for the infirm, where they would basically stick them." And I'm like, okay, that makes a buttload of sense. Excuse my language. That makes just the most sense. That makes the most sense, because obviously, and at this point, this was many years ago. And so at this point in my journey, I was doing everything on instinct. This actually prompted me in the end to be able to reach out to some of my friends who do mediumship. And it turns out that, fortunately for me, on instinct, according to my friends, I did the exact right thing, because we went back to her place and I said into the room, "Oh, and by the way, this is all taking place in German. I speak fluent German." So, you had to, I felt that I couldn't just address the spirit in English, because we were in Germany, probably didn't speak German. Probably didn't speak English, excuse me. So I say to it in German, "Dear sir or madam, we see that you're suffering. We see that you're, you probably have unfinished business. You probably have things that are a cause for you. And whatever cause that is no longer being furthered by your suffering. Your suffering's not helping whatever cause you wish were remedied. And so because of that, I invite you, if you were looking for someone to give you the invitation to move on, this is the invitation. This is the moment where you're invited, if you would like to go to the next place." And I just imagined that there was a door opening with brilliant light coming out. And even to this day, right now, telling the story, I get goosebumps so much. I get covered from head to toe in just remembering that story, and goosebumps. And in that moment, every hair on my body stood up, and a cold, like I have never felt before, went through the room, went through the room. And then boom, it was gone. And that so that's the story of the first thing. And like I said, afterwards I kind of went back, referenced with my friends who do this type of thing, what probably happened. And they told me it's very wise, because people who suffer in that way, especially those who have unalived themselves, sometimes they really want to be seen. They really need to be seen, and they need to be acknowledged. And so by doing that and allowing them, of course, I'm sure as your listeners are aware, anytime you're engaging in magic, just remember whatever I put out comes back to me times 10. So yeah, always invite, never cajole, never force. And yeah, I just, and since then, I've kind of develop my own mediumship practice. It kind of like that sort of sparked me being able to connect with spirits that might be stuck for a healing purpose to allow them to help them move on. I seem to come across them much more often than before. So that kind of opened it up for me.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would be so interested to know what your guests also have experienced and think about that. And yeah, that's just it. And I think that the reason that happened is because I was so tired. Because I was so tired at that time, my guard was down. That's the reason that I was able to have enough sensitivity to really pick up on it so incredibly clearly that it was just undeniable.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is often the case, and anyone watching, if you've had any experiences of this, quite often when we are tired, we do literally we go into that space, don't we, where we are so able to connect to other dimensions and times because we're not fully present in our bodies, fully in the here and now, going, right, this is what I'm doing, this is how I'm doing it. So we're open to those influences that come through, which is why, they kind of like say, if you're going in to do any spiritual work or anything, ideally you shouldn't be tired because you don't know what you're going to be opening yourself up to. You don't have the ability to have that protection around you that you might possibly need.
Yeah, it's so true. So true. Um, yeah. And at the same time, I think that, yeah, at the same time, I think that when you're able to, like I said in the beginning, really connect with yourself, that's, you know, I think I got a chance to jump the gun a little bit, as it were, still being a little bit not ready for it in my journey because of that tiredness. Because I mean, everything in divine timing, as I said in the
Yeah.
beginning, everything in the time and place where it is spiritually agreed, I believe. And so, but yeah, I think that though the ideally, um, you're gonna become more sensitive as you go through your own darkness, as you are able to shed your own trauma from the story that everyone lives, that we all go through as we go through life. And as you are able to sit with that, that is what that's sitting in the fullness of who you really are, the good, bad, the ugly, the trauma, the bright spots, everything. When you can sit there comfortably, that's it's almost as if by knowing yourself so completely, when something else comes that's outside of you, you can get it. You can understand it. You can feel it with the spidey senses, as we like to say here in the
Yeah.
US.
Yeah, no, yeah, I like that. The spidey senses. So, going back to your childhood, were you aware of things like this? Or was it something that just gradually developed?
You know, there were signs. There were signs. Um, it's really interesting because I was in a very small class. When I grew up in high school, there were only 9 people in my graduating class. It was a tiny school. It was great because I was top 10 in every subject. Amazing. And so we did a class play at the end of high school, the senior year. And it's so funny because every person has somehow become reflected in what happened. Like the guy who was the main person, it was Blithe Spirit by Noel Coward. And this deals with the spirits and otherworldly things. And it's a comedy also, of course. And
Yeah.
so,
No coward.
yeah, amazing playwright. And so, they, uh, they just really cast it correctly. And I was, of course, cast as the medium myself. And
Before you even knew it.
before I even knew it. And yeah, and there were other signs as well, just like being myself really sensitive and like I said, the dream when I was 16. Before I hit teenagerhood, there were not too many signs. There was not really a lot that was giving me that. Oh, thank you so much, uh, Devere. Um, yeah. So before that, it was completely there was I don't think there was I don't know. I could ask my mom if there were signs when I was a child, but I don't think there were. But then when I started hitting adolescence and really getting into my emotions and those hormones, that's when all the things came. Um, and like when I would play soccer, not when I was a little kid, but when I played soccer in high school, even though I was not the most athletic, I always knew where they were going to kick the ball. So I could always be there. I was always playing the defender because, uh, yeah, I was always playing the defender because I knew where they were going to put the ball. I just somehow magically knew. Somehow magically. Right. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, and this is what we often say, if you look back at your childhood and you look at the sort of like things that you go, oh, actually, now I understand why that took place. I've mentioned this before. I come from a spiritual background, and my friends used to give me their hair to take home to mum and do psychometry, but they wanted to do the Ouija board, my classmates, and I was like, no, I'm not interested in doing that whatsoever. But what they then said to me was, oh, although you don't take part, could you come and keep an eye on us and make sure we're safe? And of course, what do I do now? I hold the space for people to be safe in those situations. So even back then, there was that energy, obviously about me that was connected to that. So, it is amazing. And obviously, if you look back, the fact that you knew where the ball was going to go shows that your gifts were there at the time. So again, it's like people watching, if you want to find out your talents, gifts, look back, at things that seem inconsensual really at the time, like playing soccer.
Yeah, it's so funny how the little things, when you look back at your story, how they tell little foretellings. And it's almost like we have a prophetic tendency in our own lives to play the story over and over, to be well we as human beings, I think it's also natural for us to cycle around, um yeah,
Yeah.
to just have cycles.
Yeah, and Andy says, when I was 4 or 5, I had an imaginary friend, King the dinosaur. Now I know it was my spirit guide coming to me in a form a child would accept. Yeah. Um,
Wow, that's amazing, and great for you for recognizing that rather than naysaying yourself. And I would encourage you to really, hold that memory sacred, and don't let anyone tell you it didn't happen or it's just fantasy or it's just childhood nothing. um, you know in your heart that it was real and that it mattered.
yeah. So what other ghostly encounters have you experienced, and anything in America? Because obviously you go to Europe and there is so much history and whatever, and obviously America is sort of like a younger um country.
Actually, I can talk about a couple things that I've seen in America for sure. But perhaps more interestingly, being from Hawaii,
Yeah, I was going to say,
um,
how does that play into it?
oh, there's a lot of ghostly activity. There's a lot of paranormal stuff, and I mean, there's a whole company. called Oahu Ghost Tours. There are several islands. There are 5 islands where people really live. And so I'm from Oahu, where Honolulu is, where Pearl Harbor also is. The famous North Shore surfing contests are also there. And they have a tour company called Oahu Ghost Tours, and they go out at night, and they have an app that you download that measures static electricity and fun stuff like that. And I mean, of course it is commercialized, and of course that's, people who aren't serious about this these subjects definitely sign up for that. But the stories are real, and actually it's such a rich history, and it's it ties into, to me, to remembering that, I believe that some of those ghosts in Hawaii that are there, they're not suffering. I think they feel that it's their obligation, at least for the time being, to carry on the tradition and to be a part of the spirit of the Aina, of the islands. And so I I definitely, I have known of people. One big tip: if you ever go to Hawaii, especially if you go to the what's known as the Big Island, the name of it is also Hawaii, very confusing. So Hawaii, aka the Big Island, if you ever go there, please, please, for the love of all things sacred, do not take lava rocks from the island. That is, I have known people who have had their lives destroyed, and nothing good would go right until the rocks had been returned. The sacred goddess of Pele, the volcano goddess, lives there, and she considers those rocks to be her children, and she doesn't like when you take her babies away. So that's one thing. Another really funny thing, and I have no idea why this is, but definitely spiritual in nature for some reason. There's a road. I mentioned a few minutes ago that I happen to be Jewish as well, and I would go up this road because we call it Temple Road. It's also known as the Pali Highway, but there are probably about 37 temples from different religions on this road, every denomination, Taoist and Buddhist and Christian of all different kinds. And you got the Tenrikyos from Japan, and you got just religions you probably never even heard of on this row. Amazing, beautiful temples, including the Jewish synagogue. And on this road, it's famous for, if you are transporting pork, the car is going to stop. For some reason, there's like a spirit on this road that does not like you to eat pork. Don't know why. Can't explain it. And once you discard the trafe, that means, food that's not kosher. Once you discard the non-kosher food, the pork, you just get it out of the car, toss it to the side. Car starts right back up again. Can't explain it.
Oh, wow. Is that on a particular part of the road or any part of the road?
So that particular road is very steep. It's like a mountain road. You're going up the mountain, and so it always happens toward the bottom third of that hill. Just like, can't get up the mountain. Mm-mm. No pig flesh up here. Can't happen. No.
I just love that. And this just goes to show, how Mother Nature, how the spirits of the land, how spirits, have that influence on anything. And obviously, when goddesses are involved, you've got to be so respectful of them, especially one like Pele as well, because you don't want to get on the wrong side of her, same as Carly.
Oh yeah. If anyone here has seen the movie Moana, the goddess who had lost the heart of the ocean, they definitely modeled that after Pele. That fiery goddess coming up from the
Yeah.
ocean, anger and all that she goes through. And there's one other thing that's very interesting in Hawaii. To quickly round off with this, if you've ever heard of the night marchers, And although I never heard of the I never experienced the night marchers myself because they are primarily on the Big Island, again on Hawaii, the volcano island. And but my hula teacher, who taught me how to play hula, she would go to she would tell us stories about the night marchers, and she said that when she was a little girl growing up and she was in Hilo, that's the town there on the Big Island, the same one from Lilo and Stitch. I love animated movies. They, when it comes to Hilo, they had uh they would walk through the town and you'd hear them with a special kind of Hawaiian drum, and it goes ooh te ooh te te ooh te ooh te te, and they would march to the beat of this ipu, and they would go through the town. And she said that she would count the seconds. She would count the seconds and count the minutes, and it would always be about 58 minutes later, about almost just about an hour later. Of course, she was counting. She didn't have a clock, so
Yeah.
58 minutes, give or take. They'd come back. They'd come back marching through the town, and yeah, the night marchers are just the patrolling, the leftover, the King's Guard and the ancient soldiers. I mean, the stories of Hawaii, they're very proud people. The last island, Oahu, was one of the last islands that was conquered. They're right there on the same place with the pork. There's a lookout, and that, I don't know if this has anything to do with the pork, but that's where the site of the last battle between King Kamehameha and his forces and the native army, and they pushed them all the way up to the cliff, and rather than surrender to slavery, uh they jumped over the cliff to their deaths so that they could, but that was not before Western contact. In fact, one of the advantages that Kamehameha had was cannons and Western generals while he was taking over the other islands, because previous to that they were all individual kingdoms. And yeah, in fact, yeah, the Hawaii has such a long history, and um, I don't know if you know this, but we're connected. Hawaii's connected to the UK as well. Uh, the King of Hawaii went to the. Of course, Britain tried to annex Hawaii and conquer it to make it a colony.
Well,
King
of
of
course.
Hawaii. Yes, obviously, that's what you
Naturally.
do.
Yeah.
That was the
That's
way
what we
back
did
in the
in the
day.
past.
Yes, exactly. And the King of Hawaii, King Kalakaua, our merry monarch, this was in the 1800s, and he took a long journey to England, and he said to the king, how about we're just going to be friends, okay? And I suspect it was because the king may have been having some issues with his colonies at the time, maybe the United States. He was probably like, I can't deal with another uprising. Okay, we'll just be friends. Take over you later. We'll be friends. Anyway, that's why if you see the flag on the flag of the UK in the corner of the Hawaiian flag, that's why, because we've been friends since back then.
Ah, see,
Um,
that's why I love this show. You always learn something new.
yeah, unfortunately, that didn't work out so well when the United States came around and was like, we
Yeah.
need Pearl Harbor as a strategic point. And the Queen of Hawaii at the time was like, how about we be friends? And they're like, how about we take over? And
Yeah. And
yeah,
and and that's how it went. But yeah, I mean, Hawaii obviously does have so much spiritual history. In fact, I don't think there's anywhere in the world that hasn't got some kind of paranormal spiritual experience in there at all. Do you find with you when you're doing your music that you have that connection with the spirits and an afterlife and things like that?
yeah, absolutely. You know, it's so funny, but Being from Hawaii, I play the ukulele as my main instrument. In fact, while I was on the boat, I was busy shooting a music video because I do music and stuff. So I have my ukulele right here. Anyway, the song Somewhere Over the Rainbow, and I believe because it's got so much meaning, so much emotion behind it, and people connect with that so much. It's been in a lot of movies that are very meaningful to people, and it's been played at a lot of funerals, you know, it's been played at a lot of very tough events because it's such a beautiful song sung by Israel Kamaka Viva Ole of blessed memory. But for some reason that song really, when I'm singing that one, and again, I feel that I feel like it's not because the music itself somehow makes spirits appear or anything. It's more like the people, when the music is there, the people finally can just unclench just enough to let it in, you know, they can just relax and allow enough so that their connection with their loved ones can come through in that moment. And they're on the side waiting, hanging out as guardian angels just over our shoulder, waiting for us to call on them, waiting for us to acknowledge them, waiting for us to say, hey, I see you, my imaginary friend. Hey, I see you, my angels. I know you're there. I know that you have my back. And when you have that memory of them and you imagine that they're like right there with you, like they were that in those times. I'm getting emotional just talking about it.
Yeah.
I'm not crying, you're crying.
Yeah.
But
No.
that's when we can finally just relax just enough to let it in.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful, and and I love the way that music can do that, and how songs can be so special to people, and that the songs can take on a life, um, take on a life of their own. So when you're actually working with people on their healing and the spiritual side, do you bring music into that, or?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So there's a few different ways that happens. Of course, um, one of my most recent certifications that I'm most proud and excited about is Breakthrough Breathwork Meditation. And if you've ever done breathwork, you know how powerful it is. And during that, we listen to music, and that really opens the gateway to be transported to another dimension. And I don't think any musician or any priest or any spiritual leader can really understand what music even is for us. I don't think that we as humans have got that information exactly all the way down, um, because it can do so many things, and it can be such a miracle, and it can be so magical, in the right moment, and it can really change the energy flow in a space like more than 100 Reiki masters. The right song can change the energy flow, not because the Reiki masters aren't powerful, but because people react to music like a divining rod, like a tuning fork. We begin to vibrate with the frequency of the sound, and that has exponential ability to activate us from within and activate our connection to the world and each other. And that's really, I mean, that's what spirituality is right there. That's connecting to our community, connecting to ourselves, connecting to others, connecting with our true self, the darkness, the lightness, everything. That's what spirituality is. Anyway, I don't know if I went off the deep end. I don't remember
No,
what we were
no,
talking
no,
about.
that makes absolute sense. And again, the fact that the music plays into that as well is such an amazing thing to have around. So thank you so much for clarifying that. Now, as you know, I do angel oracle card readings and guided meditations, and each week I like to ask my guests whether they would like me to pull an oracle card for themselves and those watching, or do a mini guided meditation. So, Rachel, what would you like me to do?
Ooh, let's do oracle card.
Oh, funny enough, they're in my hand as we speak. Who knew?
You knew, you knew.
I knew. So, cards a quick lens of it. So, as regular viewers will know, when I do the cards for what we need to know for our highest good at this moment in time. Because even though I work with past life regression and I take people back into the past, when we go into the past, it's to learn from, to heal from, so that it doesn't affect us in the present. And when I take people into the future, it's so they can see, understand, and know the steps they need to take. So they come back to the present and they don't worry about it, because as we were talking about earlier, being in the present is so, so important. So what does Rachel and everyone who's watching this, whether live or the replay, need to know for their highest good at this moment? Oh, okay. That card wants to come out. And this actually ties in quite nicely, and especially when we were just talking about somewhere over the rainbow. Rainbow blessings. Blessings are showering your life.
Oh my goodness.
Isn't
The
that just?
cards are with us. Amazing.
I know you can never underestimate the cards. They're always exactly to point on this, and what they are, and what the angels, what the cards are saying to you at the moment is, and this is to you, Rachel, and everyone watching, that there are rainbow blessings coming in at the moment. Know that you are being showered with the blessings, and what they're saying is, be open to receiving. Open your arms, look to the sky, and go, yes, I'm willing to receive these blessings that are coming in now, and allow them to come in. And as they come into you, they're going to expand within you, and they're going to expand outwards and affect the next person, the next person, the next person. So really do be open to those rainbow blessings that are coming in at this moment in time, because they are so beautiful, and they are coming in for you to help more people in there. So it's absolutely beautiful that card came out for you.
And so it is, and even better. Thank you so much.
I know, you're welcome. So Rachel, do you have any insights or thoughts or last words of wisdom to leave our viewers?
Absolutely. I really, there's a point, of course, as you could probably guess, I love to channel and I love to bring in the wisdom that people need to hear at the right time. And I just want to remind us all that here on Earth, while we're here on Earth, we're in the free will zone. Everybody gets to wake up and decide for what they want to use their energy in their mind and in their body to whatever extent they're able. And so, because of that, because we're in the free will zone, right? Unless you're inviting the divine to come in and work through you, it's got to stay out. So, I just want to remind each of you, it's your opportunity to say, I invite the divine to move through me. I invite the divine to work through me so that I'm in alignment. So I come into abundance. So I come into the place where I can do the work that I'm meant to do, where I can be of service in a way that's joyful to me and healing to me, even as it heals the other people around me. And I'm, all the beauty of the world, the rainbow, the blessings, the power of the ocean, the power of the mountains. You could imagine that that's reminding you there as a powerful reminder of the magic of creation, which is there for you if you can invite it in. So just remember, because we live in the free will zone, no energy, negative, positive, angelic, demonic, nothing is going to come into you unless you invite it in. if you're inviting it in, then it has agency. And so I like to say, let me be the instrument of the divine. Let me be the instrument of the highest and best good for all, myself included, so that I can be at the right place at the right time. And so far, it's working, even on a boat.
Exactly, and thank you so much for bringing in that beautiful sunshine from Miami, especially for those that are watching in Europe or New York or any other place that is in winter at the moment. It was lovely seeing the sunshine. So I hope everyone you've enjoyed this conversation and found it insightful, because I know I definitely have. So if people want to connect with you, Rachel, how do they do that?
Yeah, you can go to my website, Clarity Reiki. So that's Clarity spelled regular, and then Reiki, Reiki, clarityreiki.com. I'm also on Instagram under that same handle, and Facebook, all the places. And yeah, just come onto Instagram, message me. I'm not shy. I want to talk.
Cool. And if people want to listen to your music, where could they hear that?
Sure. Yeah, it's under my name, Rachel, Rachel, and then Haymer. Just remember, hay like horses, Hay, mer like mermaid, Mer. Rachel with only one A. Hay like horses, mer like mermaid. That's it. And then yeah, you'll see me. I have a fun bunch of hits, like the vegetarian dinosaur. That's a good one. I got Aleko's song about my friend who roams the country in his van while being a lawyer for the State Department, virtually, remotely.
Wow.
Just got called back to home office recently, but the story of the van is still strong, and a bunch of other fun hits. So thank you for checking out my music.
Cool. Yeah, and what I'll do is I'll put links directly to Rachel and
Amazing.
the website and her music in the comments after the show. So thank you so much, Rachel, for sharing your wisdom. It's been absolute pleasure having you as a guest. And
Thank
thank you
you.
to Andy and Amanda for taking the time to say hello and ask questions, and for everyone else who watched live and those who are going to watch the replay. And of course, if you're ready for even more clarity and transformation, I'd love to invite you to a free 20-minute live Soul Path Discovery one-to-one video call, where during our time together, I'll pull a couple of angel oracle cards to help you gain clarity and uncover guidance from your higher self or the angels. This is your chance to reflect, connect, and gain insight into your path forward. And I'd be truly honored to chat with you one-to-one, guide you, and help you take the next step toward living the life that you're always meant to live. And of course, I do have a couple of free, incredible gifts for you, designed to help you connect more deeply with your guides and explore your future. So do check out the link in the comments after the show to grab yours. And Andy says, thank you, ladies, and good night.
Thank you, Andy.
Yeah, thank you so much. And again, thank you everyone so much for watching. I'd like to invite you to share this video, as I'm sure there are more people who feel lost and want to get clear on their destiny just like you. And of course, if you are watching this on YouTube, then please feel free to subscribe and hit that bell button to be notified when the show goes live. Or my other show, Oracle Card and Meditation, Your Weekend Reset, which goes live every Friday at 3 p.m. UK time. Or I post new guided meditations, because every like, comment, share, subscription to not just my information, my social media, but all my guests' social media as well. Every time you like, share, subscribe, comment, you really help get our message out there, and you are part of that wonderful collective of sending out that positive energy into the world that is so needed at this moment. And I look forward to seeing you all same time, same place next week. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye.